Hello friends and welcome. Today we're going to be making this cute little dog with an apple on his head. I thought it was more like a tomato, but now looking at it, it's more like a little bit of an apple. So cute. And we're going to be doing this tapestry with a Tunisian simple stitch. So for that, we are going to need a longer crochet hook, but it's okay if you only have your regular crochet hook. It's half the size. I do recommend that if you are used to doing the Tunisian simple stitch or any other Tunisian stitch, you do get this longer crochet hooks. But if you do not have it, do not worry, because it's going to be simple. It's rather a smaller project, so you can get away with it. As you can see on our reference picture, the background is more like a white, like a true white, and the actual face of the little dog is like an off-white. I will be switching that up, and the background I'm going to be using this kind of like baby yellow so that the face stands up more. And that is kind of like the little secret that we have here in the community. If you're making any kind of tapestry and you have a reference picture, you always want to make sure that you get the correct colors, because it's really not a secret, right? If you want your tapestry to be closer to the actual inspo, well, make sure you have the right colors. But if you need to substitute or change a color, make sure it's maybe like the background or something that might not, distort the picture. Unless if that is your preference, go ahead. But if you do want to have a perfect one-on-one, maybe you'll want to stick with the actual colors that the pattern comes with. And without further ado, we're going to start this tapestry. We're going to start by chaining 28 chains. And once you have your 28 chains, this is where you regularly would insert your crochet hook and start with your regular crochet, blah 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 blah. We're not going to do that. We're actually just going to grab the right side and we're going to flip it. Just like that. Just like that. And as you can see, there are like little bumps connecting each chain. So we're going to actually insert our crochet hook into those chains. We're going to skip that very first one, because that one corresponds to this very first loop, and we're going to count this loop as one. So we're going to go straight to the second, insert, yarn over, and pull. And that's what we're going to do. We're just going to go through all the little bumps and pull up a little loop. We actually should end up with 28 loops on our hook. And this is why we want a longer crochet hook, because you actually have to hold all of your loops into your crochet hook all at once. But do not worry, maybe you can just like attach a little bit of a pencil, or try to like have them a little bit bunched up. This would eventually create a problem if you're making a bigger project, but since it's like a little bit of a square tapestry, a smaller kind of thing, you can actually get away with maybe having them a little bit bunched up. But if you have your longer crochet hook, try to keep them separated. So now for our return pass, we're actually going to yarn over and pull through that very first loop on our hook. Like that. We're going to yarn over and pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2, pull through 2, just like that, all the way down our row. And this is how our little tapestry or our little first row should look like. Then here comes the actual fun part of the Tunisian crochet. Simple stitch. We are actually always counting this little loop as one, but if you kind of like stretch out that very first row, you see like those little stacks, like this little loops. We're actually going to work on to those. So that very first loop right there, just the front one, because if you actually turn it slightly to the side, you'll see like a little, oh yeah, like a little loop, like it's going over that top yarn. You have your front, your little front, and your back. Well, we're just going to work onto that front little loop. We're going to yarn over and pull, and this is how we're going to create the actual rest of our project. And we're just going to pull up a loop, counting this one as one. We're going to do that for 11 times. And of course, once you have all of your 11 loops, with this background color, we're going to introduce our next color. We're going to grab that very next color. In my case, it's going to be like this off-white. I know on camera it actually looks a lot more like a true white, but no, it's an off-white. We're going to insert our hook onto the very next loop, and we're going to yarn over with our new color. Yes, you're going to leave that background color there hanging. Just gonna hang out a little bit for us. We're going to use it in our return pass. But once again, we're just going to yarn over and loop our next color. Let me undo that. I actually like to kind of like trap my little tail. So we're just going to insert, going to go onto the back side of this little tail, yarn over and pull. That is actually going to trap the little tail, and I do not have to come back and, you know, weave it in at the end. Actually, onto the next loop, we're not going to go behind the tail. We're just going to leave it like that, and as you can see, it's getting trapped. So for this off-white, we're going to do it 8 times. And of course, you can go back and forth to trap that tail. And voila, you have that little bit of yarn left, but everything is trapped, nicely secure, it's not warping. Everything is fine. And then the rest of all of these should be background color. We should have 9 loops left, but of course we could always grab this color, pull it all the way over here, yarn it over, and that's it, right? It'll be onto the back, and it'll hide away from the eyes and light, but this is going to actually create tension if you do not leave space for this yarn to actually, you know, be loose and stuff. So we do not want that. I'm actually going to introduce a new skin of yarn, a little bit of a new cake. We're just going to do exactly the same as we did with this off-white color. We're just going to introduce this next color right here. And I also like to trap the little tail in between my actual stitches. And do not forget this little last loop right here. Actually, for this little last loop, instead of just going for the front loop, we're actually going to trap both of the loops. As you can see there, this is the front, this is the back loop. We're going to trap them both so that our border doesn't warp on us. It's going to create just a cleaner of a look, just like that. And we also have our little tail trap, and you can always cut like this little bit of a yarn left. You can always cut it at the end. Always yarning over, pulling through one loop. This is like our chain one we were crocheting regularly. It's like chain one and then we turn our work. This is going to be like our chain one, but we just keep it in place. We yarn over, pull through two, yarn over, pull through two, yarn over, pull through two, all the way down until we reach this point right here. So always in our return pass, whenever we have two different colors, we have our yellow and we have our white, we always grab that second color yarn to pull through both the loops. So we're going to drop our yellow, we're going to grab our white, we're going to yarn over, pull through that yellow, pull through that white. And as you can see right here, it's like a seamless color change. We're going to yarn over, pull through two. This rule only applies if you have two different color stitches, the first one and your second one. For the rest of this white section, we just continue to pull through two, pull through two. And then we have the same rule. We have two different color stitches, your white one and your yellow one. We drop the first color, grab the second color, yarn over, pull through that white and pull through that yellow. Just want to secure the white one, we just pull it a little bit, and as you can see, seamless color change. And then we continue to pull through two all the way down our row. And that is all. Look at our second row. I know it actually looks like nothing because it's just barely starting. This is a trust the process project with Tunisian simple stitch. I know it looks crazy, but trust me, it's going to end up looking very cute at the end. So this is actually just a startup. I know it's a little bit difficult for me to create a little bit of it longer videos, but this is everything that you actually need to know to create the rest of this tapestry. I will leave a time lapse of me actually making the tapestry, so do not worry about it. I just want to remind you that in this video, for my take on this pattern, I did add that very first row for the border, and I added 2 additional loops or stitches for the border on the outside. So the outside, and I will be adding 1 more row of this solid background color. So just in case you're actually following exactly my pattern or how the way that I'm doing it, I just added top to bottom and then side to side 1 more stitch or row, however you want to look at it.